Hello students, this is your economics teacher INR. I hope you are well and utilizing the time wisely.
In the previous class, you learned about role of commercial banks in economic development of a country, non-banking financial institution and central banks and its function. Today, you are going to learn about credit control measures or methods of credit control employed by the central banks, Reserve Bank of India and rural credit, and role of Reserve Bank of India in agricultural credit. Students, please watch this video very carefully till the end. Fine. Let us enter into the topics credit control measures. Students, take the page number 104. Credit control is the primary mechanism available to the central banks to realize the objectives of monetary management. The Reserve Bank of India is much better placed than many of credit control. The statutory basis for the control of the credit system by the Reserve Bank of India is embodied in the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934 and the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Credit control is an important function of the central bank. Various methods are employed by the central bank to control the creations of credit by the commercial banks. The principal methods are classified under two heads like quantitative methods and qualitative methods. Quantitative credit control methods are used to expand or contract the total volume of credit in the banking system. For example, the Central Bank of India believes that the safe limit for the bank credit is rupees 15,000 crore. Suppose at a particular time the actual bank credit is rupees 75,000 crore. Reserve Bank of India may now use bank rate as a weapon to reduce the volume of credit by rupees 25,000 crore. As such, the volume of bank credit is reduced in the country. On the other hand, quantitative credit control methods are used to control and regulate to the flow of credit into particular industries or business depending on the economic priorities set by the government. Suppose Reserve Bank of India estimate that the inflationary pressure in India is due to the commercial banks loans to speculators and hoarders who have managed to control the supply of inflation sensitive goods and thus have pushed up the price levels. Now, Reserve Bank of India may direct commercial banks not to lend to speculators and hoarders. It is concluded from the above analysis the quantitative controls are indirect while qualitative controls are direct. Here, there are two types of credit control measures. First, general or quantitative control measures. Second, selective or qualitative credit control measures. Quantitative credit control measures can be classified into three major categories. First, bank rate, open market operation. Third, variable cash reserve ratio. Selective or qualitative credit control measures can be classified into six major heads. First, rationing of credit control. Second, direct action. Third, moral sanction. Fourth, publicity. Fifth, regulations of consumer credit. Sixth, marginal requirements. Students, take the page number 105. Methods of credit control. First, quantitative or general credit control methods. First, bank rate policy. The bank rate is the rate at which the central bank of a country is prepared to rediscount the first class securities. It means the bank is prepared to advance loans on approved securities to its member banks. As the central bank is only the lender of the last resort, the bank rate is normally higher than the market rate. The rate of interest of every central bank is known as bank rate. It is otherwise known as discount rate. At this rate, the central bank rediscount bills of exchange and government securities held by the commercial banks. Where the cash reserves of the commercial banks tends to fall below the legal minimum. The bank may obtain additional cash from the central bank either by rediscounting bill with the central bank or by borrowing from the central bank against eligible securities. The central bank charges interest rate for this service. The central banks control credit by making variation in the bank rate. A rise in the bank rate makes borrowing costly from the central bank. So commercial banks borrows less and in turn they raise their lending rates to consumers. This discourages business activities, thereby there is a contraction of demand for goods and services and ultimately fall in the price levels. Therefore, bank rate is raised to control inflation. In the opposite case, lowering the bank rate offsets deflationary tendencies. Second, open market operation. Direct buying and selling of securities, bills, bonds of government as well as private financial institution by the commercial bank on its own initiatives is called open market operation. Here, in narrow sense, the central bank start the purchase and sale of government securities in the money market. The central bank purchases and sells not only government securities but also other proper eligible securities like bills and securities of private concerns. When the banks and the private individuals purchase these securities, they have to make payments for these securities with the central bank. Third, variable cash reserve ratio. Every commercial bank is required by law to maintain a minimum percentage of its time and demand deposits with the central bank. The excess money remains with the commercial banks over and above these minimum reserves is known as the excess reserves. Commercial banks create credit only by on these excess reserves. Central bank may bring changes in reserve requirements. Consequently, it will affect the amount of reserves that commercial banks must maintain as deposits with the central bank as well as the amounts available for lending or investing. Cash reserve ratio. Under this system, the central bank controls credit by changing the cash reserve ratio. For example, if the commercial bank have excessive cash reserves on this basis of which they are creating too much of credit, this will be harmful for the larger interest of the economy. So it will raise the cash reserve ratio which the commercial banks are required to maintain with the central bank. Similarly, when the central bank decides that the commercial banks should increase the volume of credit in order to bring about an economic revival in the economy, the central bank will lower down the cash reserve ratio with a view to expand the lending capacity of the commercial banks. Variable cash reserve ratio as an objective of monetary policy was first suggested by J.M. Keynes. It was first followed by Federal Reserve System in United States of America. The commercial bank, as per the status, has to maintain reserve based on their demand deposits and fixed deposits with the central bank is called as cash reserve ratio. If the cash reserve ratio is high, the commercial bank's capacity to create will be less, and if the cash reserve ratio is low, the commercial bank's capacity to create will be high. Second one, statutory liquidity ratio. Statutory liquidity ratio is the amount which a bank has to maintain in the form of cash, gold or approved securities. The quantum is specified as some percentage of the total demand and time liabilities. Time liabilities, that is the liabilities of the bank which are payable on demand anytime, and those liabilities which are occurring in 1 month time due to the maturity of the bank. Second, qualitative or selective credit control measures. The qualitative or the selective credit control measures are directly towards the diversion of credit into particular uses or channels in the economy. Their objectives is mainly to control and regulate to the flow of credit into particular industries or business. Qualitative methods of credit control means the regulation and control of the supply of credit among its possible users. The aim of such method is to channelize the flow of the bank credit from a speculative and other undesirable purpose to socially desirable and economically useful uses. Important selective control measures are given below. First, rationing of credit. Second, direct action. Third, moral persuasions. Fourth, method of publicity. Fifth, regulations of consumer credit. Sixth, regulating the marginal requirements on social security loans. First, rationing of the credit. This is the oldest method of credit control. Rationing of the credit as an instrument of credit control was first used by the Bank of England by the end of the 18th century. It aims to control and regulate the purpose for which credit is granted by commercial bank. It is generally of two types. So first, the variable portfolio ceilings. It refers to the system by which the central bank fixes ceilings or maximum amount of loans and advances for every commercial banks. Second, the variable capital assets ratio. It refers to the system by which the central bank fixes the ratio which is the capital of commercial bank should have to the total assets of the bank. In short, credit rationing is employed to control and regulate the purpose of which credit is granted by the commercial bank. Credit rationing takes two forms. First, variable portfolio ceiling, when central bank fixes ceiling on the aggregate portfolio of the commercial bank, they cannot advance loans beyond these ceilings. Second, variable capital assets ratio, wherein the central bank fixes in relation to the capital of commercial bank to its total assets. Second, direct actions. Direct action refers to directives of the central bank to enforce the commercial banks to follow a particular policy. The central banks gives directive to commercial banks in respect of lending policies, the purpose for which advances may be made. Third, the margins to be maintained in respect of secured loans. Here, direct actions against the erring banking can take the following forms. The central bank may refuse to altogether grant discounting facilities to such banks. Second, the central bank may refuse to sanction further financial accommodation to a bank whose existing borrowing are found to be in excess of its capital and reserves. Third, the central bank may start charging penal rate of interest on money borrowed by a bank beyond the prescribed limit. Third, moral suasion. Moral suasion implies persuasion and request made by the central bank to the commercial banks to follow the general monetary policy in the context of the current economic situation. Here, this method is frequently adopted by the central bank to exercise control over the commercial banks. Under this method, central bank gives advice, then request and pursued the commercial bank to cooperate with the central bank in implementing its credit policies. Fourth, publicity. The central bank publish weekly or monthly or quarterly statements of the assets and liabilities of the commercial banks for the information of publics. It also publishes statistical data relating to money supply, prices, production, employment and of capital and money market, etc. Here, central bank, in order to make their policies successful, take the course of the medium of publicity. A policy can be effectively successful only when an effective public opinion is created in its favor. Fifth, regulations of consumer credit. Under this instrument, the central bank regulates the use of bank credit by the consumer in order to buy durable consumer goods in installments. To advise this is adopt two devices. First, minimum down payments. Second, maximum period of repayments. Here, the down payment is raised and the number of installments reduced for the credit sale. Sixth, changes in the marginal requirements of security loans. The aim of this method is to prevent excessive use of credit to purchase securities by speculators. The central bank fixes minimum margin requirements on loans for purchasing securities. Suppose the central bank fixes a 30% as margin requirements, then for rupees 1000 worth of security, commercial banks may keep rupees 300 as margin and the remaining of rupees 700 may be used for lending. If the central bank wants to curb speculator activities, it will raise the margin requirements. On the other hand, if it wants to expand the credit, it reduces the margin requirements. Here, the system is mostly followed in USA. Under this system, the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System have been given the power to prescribe margin requirements for the purpose of preventing an excessive use of credit for stock exchange speculations. This system is specially intended to help the central bank in controlling the volume of credit used for speculation in securities under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Secondly, we will discuss Reserve Bank of India and rural credit. In a developing economy like India, the central bank of the country cannot confine itself to the monetary regulation only, and it is expected that it should take part in the development function in all sectors, especially in the agricultural and industrial sectors. Thirdly, you are going to learn about role of Reserve Bank of India in agricultural credit. Reserve Bank of India have been playing a very vital role in the provision of agricultural finance in the country. The bank responsibility in this field has been increased due to the predominance of agriculture in the Indian economy and the inadequacy of the formal agencies to cater to the high requirements of the sector in order to fulfill this important role of effectively. The Reserve Bank of India set up a separate agricultural credit departments. However, the volume of informal loans has not declined sufficiently. Next, functions of agricultural credit departments. First, to maintain on export staff to study all the questions on agricultural credit. Second, to provide expert advice to central and state governments, state cooperative banks and other banking activities. Third, to finance the rural sectors through eligible institutions engaged in the business of agricultural credit and to coordinate their activities. The duties of the Reserve Bank of India in the agricultural credit were much restricted as it had to function only in an ex officio capacity, being the central bank of the country. It could not lend directly to the farmers, but the supply of rural credit was done through the mechanism of refinance with the institution specializing in rural credit. Primary societies may borrow from central cooperative banks and the latter may borrow from the FX or the state cooperative bank, which in turns might get accommodation facilities from the Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank of India was providing medium-term loan also for a period exceeding 15 months to 5 years for accumulations of land, construction of irrigation works, then purchase of machinery, etc. The Reserve Bank of India was also providing long-term loans to finance permanent change in land and also for the redemptions of old debts. With the establishment of National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development or NABARAT, all the functions of Reserve Bank of India relating to agricultural credit has been taken over and looked after by NABARAT since 1982. Since then, all activities relating to formal credit are entirely looked after by NABARAT. That's all for today. We will continue in the next class. Finish the assignment by clicking the link below.